So, you think we should get this show on the road again? Let's do it. Welcome back to the Flashback Podcast. Most of you know that my shoulder was jacked up. I had surgery. I was out of work for 7 months. I also was doing filming for the new show that my wife is a co-star in called £1,000 Best Friends. And I went back to work in October, and honestly, I just did not like the direction that the show was going. And because of that, I mean, I wasn't really getting followers over on YouTube and or too many listeners over on Spotify. So I just gave up. It was a lack of motivation. I kind of got into kind of a depressed state, I guess. And there was no motivation there to do anything. So I was ready to call it quits. And just a few days ago, uh, my wife Tina, who I was talking about, she's one of the co-stars of £1,000 Best Friends. She was like, "When are you going to start the podcast back up?" And I looked at her and I was like, "I don't know. I really just didn't plan on starting it back up." And then that same day, oddly enough, a buddy of mine on Facebook who lives in Canada, his name is Jeremy Rankin, and he was like, "Man, I really missed the podcast." And I was like, "Damn, if that is not a sign to start this thing back up." Um, but I didn't want to just do retro stuff, by the year. I want to do movie reviews and conspiracy theories and all the stuff that I really am into. So if you notice the logo, over here, the logo over here, it has changed, and so has the show. I'm still going to be covering, retro stuff, but I'm also going to be covering, like, just like I said, the movie reviews, the TV reviews, the pretty much everything under the sun, except for politics and negative news stories and all that crap that just brings people down. I just want to cover the cool, geeky craziness that's out there, and that's all there is to it. So I want to send out a very, very heartfelt thank you to my wife Tina for pushing me and supporting me and saying, "Get your ass out there and do this podcast because you need to do it. It's good. It's a good thing, and people will eventually come to it, I guess." And I want to thank Jeremy for being that fan and for being a friend of the podcast and a Facebook friend. We've never met in actual real life, but I think he's a really cool dude, and I consider him a good friend. Um, so honestly, it's just these things came to be like a really good sign to keep this thing trucking, and you know, it's something that I really do enjoy. I really enjoy talking about retro stuff. I love talking about movies and all the nostalgic stuff out there from the 80s, because that was the decade that I was a kid and I was growing up, and I turned into a teenager in the 90s and blah blah blah. Uh, and on January 10th I'll be turning 45 years old. So it's really cool to kind of look back and at all those really cool memories of the 80s, and it was just a really cool decade to be able to grow up in, and it seemed like such a really simpler time, honestly. So like I said, I want to kind of get back into my old school podcasting days and really cover like paranormal stuff, UFO conspiracy, government conspiracies, do movie reviews, TV reviews, everything honestly that I am into. And and hopefully there's a lot of geeks out there that are really into it too. So, welcome to the new and hopefully improved Flashback Podcast. Now, of course, in this episode, I'm still going to be covering the retro stuff, like I said. So, the last episode that I did, whenever it was, like a months ago, but we stopped at 1982, so we're going to be going into 1983 on this one. I'm not doing like the whole big news articles and stuff like that from back then. But here's a fun fact about 1983. 1983. This is how old I am. 1983 is the first year I started school. That was my kindergarten year that I started school, and I was 5 years old. Yep, in 1983. I am old, and getting older and older and older. So that's the fun fact for today. And I thought it would be. I mean, it's really weird that it landed this way because we're talking about 1983, and this year is it's 40 years later, right at 40 years later. So here we are. Man, I'm old. Kindergarten at 40 years old. I mean, 40 years ago, man. I started school 40 years ago. Damn. Started school 40 years ago, and now, almost 45 years later, married with 4 children. Man, how time flies. How life just gets sucked down like a soda at the movie theater. I don't know. I'm just being silly. All right, so what movies came out in 1983? What were some of the biggest movies of 1983? Well, that's what I'm about to talk about right now. Number one, and these are not in any particular order. These are just movies that came out in 1983 that I thought were cool. Not really listed in any particular order or for any reason. These were just movies that I grew up on and I thought they were cool. A Christmas Story. National Lampoon's Vacation with Chevy Chase. Trading Places. And I think that had Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor in it. And I remember watching that on TV over and over and over again. Well, actually, all of these, really. The Outsiders was a book that we had to read in school, and I've seen that movie a million times. I think it's one of Tina's favorites. Return of the Jedi in 1983. War Games. If you have not seen War Games, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, and everyone in between, please go check that out. And then, of course, the Stephen King horror, Christine. Superman 3, and then there was also another. Stephen King was kind of popular this year in 1983 because he had also the movie Cujo come out. And one of the coolest, and I can't even really say that it's a horror movie. It's a horror, trippy. Ooh, that goes along with the Flashback Podcast, doesn't it? Really trippy, just mind screwy type of thing. The Twilight Zone movie. Twilight Zone, the movie, to be exact. So let's move on to video games of 1983. And yes, folks, we had video games. We had arcades. We had Atari. And I'm talking to the younger crowd out there, of course. All you youngins. Yes, we had all this stuff. It might not have looked as cool as it does now, but we had it. So the 10 popular video games of 1983, and this is popular by me because I chose these. Mario Brothers, and Mario Brothers was introduced as an arcade game in 1983. Dragon's Lair, and Dragon's Lair was one of the coolest arcade games that I played as a kid. And basically, it was just a 2D animated arcade game, and it later came out for home computers. Donkey Kong 3, Spy Hunter, Pole Position 2, the original Punch Out. Now, don't get this confused with Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Okay, is that what it was called? Mike Tyson's Punch Out? I don't know. I think it was. Kool-Aid Man. They made a video game based on the Kool-Aid Man. Pigs in Space. And if you don't know, Pigs in Space, the video game, was based off of the Muppets sketch of Pigs in Space. Ambulance. And Star Wars Jedi Arena. Now, Ambulance and Star Wars Jedi Arena, I don't remember, but off the entire list, I didn't know any of the other ones either, so I was just like, ooh, Star Wars. So, of course, 1983 had its big music albums that came out, and once again, these are not listed in any particular order or whatever. So, the number one that I have put up here, ZZ Top, Eliminator, The Police, Synchronicity, or something like that. I guess that's what that is. Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil, Def Leppard, Pyromania. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Def Leppard's drummer the one that didn't have, he like was missing an arm or something, and he only played drums with one arm, right? Comment below if that is the correct answer on that, because I'm pretty sure that I'm right on that, but I could be wrong. Metallica, Kill 'Em All, Iron Maiden, Peace of Mind, Billy Idol, Rebel Yell, number 8, Genesis, and this was the self-titled album. Phil Collins, I love his music. I love Genesis. David Bowie, Let's Dance. And one of Tina's favorites, who is my wife, if you don't know, one of her favorite bands is Journey, and this was the year that the album Frontiers came out. Now, if you are like me, then you love video games, right? So that whole segment that we just had, that was all 1983. We're going into modern times, baby. We are back to the future, okay? So if you are a big video game fan like I am, I just made a list of, since it's the new year, I made a list of all these games that I am excited and anticipating coming out in 2023. Now, I am a big PC gamer, not a console gamer. We own a PlayStation 4, but my son is the one that plays that. And, well, actually all the kids except for me. But, you know, I'm not a kid, I guess. I'm like, yeah, I am. Screw that. I am. I'm a 45-year-old kid. So I made a list of the top 5 games that I am really anticipating, just ready to play and get it on, like Donkey Kong, okay? Number 1, Diablo 4. Now, if you remember, when they before they announced Diablo 4, there was BlizzCon, which they have every year. And everybody was like, yeah, man, they're going to be announcing Diablo 4. And then they came back and said, no, it's going to be Diablo on your mobile devices. And everybody got pissed and pitched a big hissy fit and freaked out. So now Diablo 4 has been announced. And I believe they announced it, last year before? I don't know. And so now it's actually coming out. And it's coming out this year. I've been keeping up with this next game. I've been really interested in this next game for a while. Just the standard edition on this game is insanely expensive. insanely expensive. And it's been in beta for a very long time, and they are still working on it. But I'm guessing that the actual release date is, of course, this year, and that is Baldur's Gate 3. Um, I that one, I'm gonna have to switch those spots because I'm more excited about that one coming out than Diablo 4. But I am excited about Diablo 4 coming out. At number 3, and this is going to be a good one for me, Tina, and Megan, and John to stream over on Twitch. And this is Hogwarts Legacy. And this is where you actually get to go to Hogwarts and become a student of magic. And then there is Star Wars Survivor, which is the sequel to Fallen Order. And I really, really enjoyed Fallen Order. And I just bought the PC version of Fallen Order maybe like 2-3 months ago ish, something like that. I don't know. It's been a while. But I originally had it on PlayStation 4, but like I said, I don't really do consoles. This next one I'm really, really, really excited about, and I literally just found out that they were doing this. But they are remaking Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. And this has to be like the number one Star Wars game that ever came out. The most popular one. And this is the one that fans have been screaming, we want a movie based on this storyline. This is where it should be coming from for this new trilogy or whatever they plan on doing. This is where it should be. And I think they actually might be doing it. Not sure, not 100% sure, but I think, the rumor mill around on the internet has been saying it's going to happen. So we'll see. And I hope so, man, because I'm like, dude, that was one of the best. And then they had a sequel to it as well. So I'm really hoping that they, they stick to their guns on that one. So if you didn't know, I am a huge movie fan. Pretty much anything really geeky, whatever. Sci-fi, action, horror, whatever. So these, I made a top 10 list of movies that I am super excited for to come out in 2023. Number one, and I really didn't put these in any particular order, just I'm excited about all of these movies. Number one, I listed as Ant-Man and the Wasp for Quantumania, and that, of course, is going to introduce the villain King. And that should be kind of rolling it into the next phase for Marvel and going into Secret Wars. Number two is 65, and this, if you haven't seen the trailer for 65, please go watch it. It's got Adam Driver in it, and basically he goes back 65 million years and they're having to fight dinosaurs and stuff, so it's going to be really cool. It looks really cool. The next one is kind of weird because Tina and I, we just got into this series. We actually took an entire day to watch all 3 movies, and we fell in love, and they are freaking awesome. John Wick Chapter 4. And that's probably going to be one that we definitely 100% go see in the theater. I am particularly excited about this next one, and it is Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. I cannot wait to see this. They tried to do a Dungeons and Dragons movie years ago, and it wasn't very good. And I think it kind of flopped out at the theater and stuff. But this one looks way, way better. So I'm super excited. And of course, I want to see this one also, the Super Mario Brothers movie. And another one that I am super excited about is Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And we got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Transformers Rise of the Beasts. Another one I am going to definitely see in the theater, because this is like 100% chance this is the last Indiana Jones ever to be released at a theater. So this is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Definitely checking that out at the theater. And then, of course, the last one, and I am a huge original Evil Dead fan, and the newer Evil Dead, loved it. And this one looks just bad to the freaking bone badass. This is going to be Evil Dead Rise. Y'all, I cannot even explain to you how excited I am for that movie. And honestly, I am super excited. Super excited for all of these movies coming out. Now, I would like to take a second and just to note that I would have put the Flash movie on this list, but DC movies are all over the place right now, and everything is unbalanced, and DC is unpredictable about what they are adding and removing and doing this and that. They're screwing around so much. So I'm just playing it safe. I will probably wait for the Flash movie to come to some kind of streaming service and rent it or buy it or whatever. Probably won't be seeing it in the theater just because DC is just too unpredictable right now. And I'm going to be honest with you, I really liked Black Adam. And then the whole Superman scene at the end of the movie, and and then they just wipe that entire thing out. This is why I'm not going to see another DC movie until they get everything straightened out. Another movie is the Marvels. I'm not against Captain Marvel. I really enjoyed the Captain Marvel character in the MCU. But I don't see her as being like a great character. And honestly, I couldn't even stomach the cheesiness of Miss Marvel. So I didn't even finish it. I was just like, no, this is too much cheese for me. That's gonna stop me up forever. So I just couldn't do it, and I couldn't put either one of those movies on this list. All right, so to finish up this episode, I'm going to go into some movie reviews and some TV show reviews, and I'm going to be honest with you, bear with me because I got a lot of reviews that I'm about to pull out because it's been a while. But I think these movies are very much well worth the time and energy to do a review on, with the exception of like maybe one or two. So, but I just want to warn you of them before you actually watch them, as far as the bad ones go. And I want you to make sure that you actually go see the good ones, because they were definitely worth the watch. So we're going to start with The Invitation, okay? So The Invitation is basically about a woman that is invited by her extended family in England, and she is going over there to meet them and learn about them. And the entire thing is hosted by a man that owns this giant house that her family follows. And basically it turns into this really horrific plot, okay? Now, I'm going to tell you, the trailers for this movie do not actually show anything about the plot twist in this movie. And by plot twist, I mean it takes up half the other half of the movie, So, let me think about how I'm going to say this. The storyline, it seemed legit, right, for the first hour, until that actual final plot that final plot point came into play. And then I'm sitting there going, what the hell did I just watch? And not in a good way. I'm thinking, what the hell did I just watch? And not in a good way by any means. Uh, the acting was decent. It's not anything spectacular or anything like that. It's basically what you would expect from a modern horror slash thriller movie, I guess. Now, was it worth the time to watch? That's the big question. The first hour was okay, okay, but overall, no. It felt like after that first hour, it felt like a waste of time. However, since I did start the movie and I got an hour into it, and I invested like an hour of my life into this movie, I finished it off and watched it and gave it, went all the way through. I'm going to have to tell you, I give The Invitation a 2 out of 5 stars. If you're really bored and you just been wanting to see it, then you can then go watch it or whatever. But if it's not on your to-do list, don't bother. Okay. Now we're going to go into A Christmas story, and I'm going to tell you, I have to admit, I like this one a lot. And if you're a fan of the original Christmas Story, make sure that you check this one out. And it is on HBO Max, or I think you can actually rent it as a digital rental or something. The acting was good, and I really, really enjoyed the fact that they brought back the original cast. That all the friends and stuff, and they brought back the original people for that. The story itself was very moving because it focused heavily on Ralphie's dad passing away, and now Ralphie has to come in and step up and make Christmas, great for his kids and great for everybody, just like his old man did. And Ralphie's grown now and he has kids of his own, and he's like kind of dealing with not wanting to fail them, and he wants it to be perfect like he always saw that what his dad did, and he thought his dad was just like this Christmas king. And so we're going to move into special effects. The special effects, it was typical for a Christmas movie. The kind of goofy, funny, like Home Alone type stuff. There wasn't a lot of special effects to kind of judge, but there were a few where some things happen, and it was really just typical of what you would see in any like Christmas comedy, family comedy type thing. The writing of the dialogue and everything, it was right on. It followed right along with the original Christmas Story. And I thought it was really cool that Ralphie's voice as an adult sounds so similar to the original narrator of A Christmas Story that it was like on par and uncanny and crazy. That was nuts. So overall, A Christmas Story. I think it was just a fun movie, man, and it was perfect for the family. It was a great family Christmas movie, funny, perfectly done, especially if you are a fan of the original and going into this movie. It was just like the same people directed it and I guess wrote it or whatever. I don't know if they did or not. I'm just saying it. They did it flawlessly. So I'm giving A Christmas Story a 4 out of 5 stars. All right, so we are moving into Violent Night, and everybody has been talking about this movie, and I'm going to tell you, this, my friends, is probably one of my new favorite Christmas movies. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, just one of my new favorite adult Christmas movies. Uh, the acting was good for what it was. It's a silly, just violent Christmas movie, comedy, very dark comedy type thing. Um, the story was kind of cheesy, but they pulled it off, man. They pulled it off with pretty good acting and just the goofiness of it and the comedy and the violence and the gore. Um, the overall fun factor of it was right on the money. It was what I was expecting plus some. And so I had to give Violent Night a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and really, honest to God, that is probably one of my favorite adult Christmas movies now. Not kid friendly at all. Not kid friendly for the little ones, especially. So we're gonna go into Emancipation. This is a very serious movie, and it stars Will Smith. And if you haven't heard of it, it is on Apple Plus. But I'm sure you can rent it somewhere, like on Vudu or something like that, digital rental. Uh, and regardless of how you feel about Will Smith, he did an exceptional job, Oscar worthy job, um, as far as acting and stuff goes. And it was no less than Oscar worthy from Oscar worthy um work from Will Smith. I mean, it was excellent, perfect, right on the money. The story was absolutely amazing, and it's based on a true story of an American runaway slave, basically forging himself through the Louisiana swamps to seek freedom from Abraham Lincoln's army. Um, the special effects perfectly done for this type of movie. Uh, couldn't I honestly could not expect better. Um, the dialogue, the writing, the performances, absolutely 100% perfect. And it because of that, because of the acting and just the direction and everything lining up so perfectly, this was a very, very emotional movie, and it pulls you in pretty much like no other movie that I have seen, especially in a long, 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 long time. Was it time worthy? Absolutely, 100%. One of the best movies that I've seen in a long time. And I had to give Emancipation a solid 100%, no points taken away for anything, 5 out of 5 stars. Please go see it, and on Apple Plus or rent it or whatever. You got to see it. It was beautifully made. Uh, the talent of these people, the actors and the director, the writers, absolutely on par with Oscar nominated films, and it was perfect. I loved it 100%. Please go check it out. Um, and I forgot to put this in my notes, but there's one more movie that we literally just watched on HBO Max, and it is called The Menu. Okay, it is a dark comedy. It is rated R, so not kid friendly at all. It's pretty violent and gory. It's very weird. It's very unique. It's very different, and it is beautifully done. Uh, I gave it. I'm gonna have to give it definitely a 5 out of 5. Uh, I love stuff. I love movies like The Menu. I love that different, unique quality of just filmmaking. So definitely, if you have HBO Max or if you can rent it, go definitely watch that movie. Uh, Tina and I loved it. That's got to be one of my favorite dark comedy movies that there is right now, and it was brilliantly done. Brilliantly done. Okay, so now we're going to go into television series. And I'm not going to keep on running my mouth too much because I know you guys are getting tired of hearing it. But I'm going to start with the show Yellowstone. Now, Yellowstone has been getting a lot of flack lately because everybody's saying, oh God, it's another week. Who's going to try to take their land now or take the ranch now? But it's more than that. Their storyline is based on, this family has been fighting for their land and their ranch for over 100 years, and they're doing everything they can to keep it. And there's a lot more to the story than that. You got the whole story behind all the cowboys. You got the whole dramatic thing for the family itself, the Dutton family itself. So there's more to it than just save the land every episode. And it gets really dark, and it is written by Taylor Sheridan, who also did Sons of Anarchy. And it was really kind of funny because when Tina and I started watching it, I was like, this has like a really like big Sons of Anarchy kind of vibe to it. And looked it up, and sure enough, that it was the same dude that did Sons of Anarchy, and I was like, well, okay, that makes sense now. It's kind of like very mafia like, if that makes sense. You definitely just got to watch it if you don't, because what I'm going to tell you, it won't make any sense if you don't watch it. At least try to get in the first season, and that just kind of gives you an idea of where everything's going. It sucked me in. The story is really good, and we finished it. We got up to the last episode we got up to the mid-season finale of season 5. Now we have to wait until the summer for the rest of the season to come on TV, and so now it's like, oh God, what else am I going to watch? And so Taylor Sheridan also did 2 prequels for Yellowstone and their TV shows. One is called 1883, and you can actually watch that entire season on Peacock. And the other one is 1923, which is actually syndicating right now every Sunday at, I think, 8 o'clock on Peacock. But anyways, I love Yellowstone, and Tina loves Yellowstone. So I mean, overall, I definitely have to give it a 5 out of 5 stars, and it's just an excellent, awesome show to really get into, and if you like that kind of stuff. Like as I mentioned before, 1883, another Tyler Sheridan TV show, and it is the first prequel for Yellowstone. And basically, it's about German immigrants heading to Oregon to like settle down, and they hire some rough and tough dudes to kind of get them there and help them survive the wilderness, because they don't use weapons. They're not trained for weapons. They're like musicians and cooks or whatever, and they do a lot of artisans type stuff. And so they have to hire like armed help and people that survivalists that can get them to where they're going to settle down and to be able to make a living and life and build a life. And so that's basically what it's about. And I definitely, once again, I actually enjoyed 1883 better than Yellowstone, and I enjoyed it better than 1923. So I'm still going to be giving it a 5 out of 5, but if I went any higher, I would end up giving it like a higher score, you know what I mean? So There's that. And then 1923. Oh, and by the way, 1883 once again is available on Peacock, as well as 1923. 1923 has Harrison Ford, and it's currently coming on every Sunday. And it is a prequel, and it is definitely prequel to Yellowstone. And then they are talking about it definitely features the Dutton family. And basically, it's the struggles that from 1923 with the Dutton family and how they are kind of like transitioning from the old school cowboys to new technology coming out. Like they feature like they go to town and they see like a washing machine, an electric washing machine, and electricity being offered, and just and motorized vehicles, so that's a really cool aspect of it. And of course, they're still fighting for the ranch. So definitely it's another 5 out of 5 stars for 1923. Out of the 3 shows, I would say right now, because I haven't seen all of 1923 yet, so that's going to be on the bottom of all 3. But all 3 are 5 out of 5 stars worthy, if that makes sense. And 1883, to me, it would be on the top of the 5 out of 5. It would go 1883, Yellowstone, and 1923. Right? Are you confused yet? I am. I mean, not really, but I do want to confuse you, just to make sure. Okay. And so the last TV show, and you're like, thank God this is just going on and on and on. Well, we're on the last one. Okay. The last one is a Disney Plus show, and it is based on the 1980s movie. I don't know what year it actually came out. I don't remember. But it's the movie from the 80s called Willow, and it is of the same name as Willow, and it's a TV show. It definitely helps if you go and watch the movie first, but they do kind of a recap, so you don't really have to watch the movie. But the original movie is really good, so you probably want to watch that first, and I'm pretty sure they have it on Disney. It is kind of the dialogue and the writing and the direction and the acting is all kind of cheesy, but it's kind of, if you really like the fantasy movies and such and the fantasy shows, then this is going to be right up your alley. It's really cool. You kind of look past all that and really get into the story and stuff. And you get past the acting and the cheesiness and stuff, and you get into it, and it's just like, hey man, this is really cool. This is Willow. Okay, so I mean, yeah, give it a chance. But anyways, I gave Willow a 4 out of 5. Couldn't give it a perfect score because it does have a lot of cheese in it. There's a lot of just cheesy jokes and cheesy dialogue and kind of wishy-washy acting. The special effects are really cool though, and the story, I guess the story arc is really cool. It's just the rest, the dialogue is kind of or it can be. But yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 5, and definitely recommend it. It's a really fun show. It really is. It's a really fun show. And I think that's it, man. We're gonna wrap it up. Not really sure when I'll do another episode. No, I'm just kidding. I'll end up doing another episode next week. Probably not as long as this one. Hopefully, I don't think it will be. But until next time, make sure that you're leaving comments on the YouTube channel, and make sure that you're sharing it and talking about it, and be like, hey man, watch this flashback podcast on YouTube, or go over to Spotify and listen to that shit because it's cool and it's retro and it is modern, all in one sitting. So make sure that you let everybody and their dogs know to check out the Flashback podcast. And and if you watch the YouTube channel, you can see me with wearing these big ass earmuffs. They're the only ones that would cover my Dumbo ears, so that's why I'm wearing them. And if you listen to Spotify, you can just tell them, hey man, if those earmuffs scare you, go over and listen to him on Spotify, because his voice is pretty, unlike his earmuffs. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't matter. Just promote me. You're like, hey man, Johnny's cool. He's really cool. Go help him out. Anyways, and don't forget to check out 1,000-Pound Best Friends over on TLC every Wednesday at 10 p.m. And I'll be on this season. I'll be on season 2. You guys might hate me after season 2, but I'm on season 2. And that's it. We will see you next time.